M&M quiz 2058. Solve. 0 equals negative x squared plus 25x. Solve a quadratic equation for x by completing the square. 0 equals negative x squared plus 25x. Is it A or is it B? Or is it C? Or is it D? If we have x squared plus b over a, x equals negative c over a, what is our coefficient of x squared? It is 1. So if the coefficient of x to the power of 2 is 1, then we can complete the square on the left. How? By taking the coefficient of x, which is b over a, take the coefficient of x, divide by 2, and then square it, and then add to the left and add to the right. So let's see how we do that. So we are given 0 equals negative x squared plus 25x. C is equal to 0. Is the coefficient of x squared positive 1? Answer is no. So what do? Divide by negative 1. Divide both left and right sides by negative 1. And that is as good as dividing each term by negative 1. So what is 0 divided by negative 1? It is just 0. What is negative x squared divided by negative 1? Positive x squared. And what is 25x divided by negative 1? Negative 25x. So we have 0 equals x squared minus 25x. Even though this is very easy to solve, let's go by completing the square. So right now, what is the coefficient of x to the power of 2? It is 1. So we have 1 here, no problem. What is the coefficient of x? The coefficient of x is negative 25. What is half of that? Negative 25 divided by 2. And when we square it, what do we get? 25 squared over 2 squared. 25 squared over 2 squared. We add 25 squared over 2 squared to both sides. From before, we had 0. And then on the right side, we have x squared minus 25x. And we have to add. So we add 25 squared over 2 squared to both sides. So we get 25 squared over 2 squared is equal to, this whole thing is nothing but x minus 25 over 2, the whole squared. X minus 25 over 2, the whole squared is nothing but x minus 25 over 2 times x minus 25 over 2. What is first times first? X squared. What is outer times outer? Negative 25x. Negative 25x over 2. And what is inner times inner? Negative 25x over 2. And then what is last times last? 25 squared over 2 squared. This is nothing but x squared. So you get x squared minus 25x plus 25 squared over 2 squared. So that is correct. The right side is x minus 25 over 2 whole squared. So from which we get two solutions. Now what do? We take square root on both sides. When we take square root on both sides, we get x minus 25 over 2 equal to plus or minus. What is square root of 25 squared over 2 squared? What is square root of 25 squared over 2 squared? And that is plus or minus 25 over 2. So x minus 25 over 2 equals plus or minus 25 over 2. Let's take the red solution. What do we get? X minus 25 over 2 equals, let's go with the positive, 25 over 2. Add 25 over 2 to both sides. So we get, let's call this x1. And x1 is equal to 25 over 2 plus 25 over 2 is 25 plus 25 divided by 2. And that is 50 divided by 2. And that is 25. Let's go for the blue solution. Let's call that x2. We already took the positive, so now we go with negative. Add 25 over 2 to both sides. So you get x2 is equal to 0. So what is our solution set? 0, 25. Let us see if we can get the same result using the quadratic formula. So what is A? Negative 1. What is B? 25. And what is C? 0. So what is 4ac? Anytime you multiply by 0, c is equal to 0, 4ac is equal to 0. So what is b squared minus 4ac? It will be just b squared. Anytime you have c equal to 0, 0 times anything is 0. So what is b squared? B squared is 25 squared. And that is 625. And what is square root of b squared minus 4ac? And that is just square root of 625. And that is 25. So our x1 comma 2 is given by negative b. What is b? 25. So negative of 25 plus or minus 25, because square root of b squared minus 4ac is 25, divided by 2 times, what is a? Negative 1. Immediately you see that x1 is equal to negative 25 plus 25 divided by negative 2, and that is equal to 0. And we get x2 equals negative 25 minus 25 divided by negative 2, and that is equal to negative 50 divided by negative 2, and that is 25. So we get the same solution set, 0, 25. And is there an easy solution for problems such as these? And the answer is yes. X is the common factor, so take the x out. So negative x squared is the same as negative x times x. 25x is the same as x times 25. So take the common factor out. When you take the common factor out, what are we left with? Negative x and plus 25. So what is x times negative x? Negative x squared. What is x times 25? Plus 25x. So you have x times negative x plus 25 is equal to 0. So from that we get either x equal to 0 or negative x plus 25 is equal to 0. Let's call this x1. So you have x1 is equal to 0. And let's call this x2. So you get negative x2 plus 25 is equal to 0, or x2 equals 25. So what is our solution set? 0, 25. So it doesn't matter what approach you take, you get the same answer. Let us look at everything we did. 0 equals negative x squared plus 25x. Is the coefficient of x squared 1? No. So what do? Divide throughout by negative 1, negative 1, negative 1. So you get 0 equals x squared minus 25x. What is the coefficient of x? Negative 25. Half the coefficient of x? Negative 25 divided by 2. Add square of half the coefficient of x to both sides. So you add square of negative 25 over 2, which is the same as 25 squared over 2 squared. So we add that to both sides. Once we add 25 squared over 2 squared to both sides, we get 25 squared over 2 squared equals x minus 25 over 2 the whole square. Take square root on both sides, and what do we get? The right side becomes x minus 25 over 2. The left side becomes, because we are taking square root of a square, we expect plus and a minus solution. So we get plus 25 over 2 and minus 25 over 2. Let's go into blue and red. Go with negative 25 over 2 equals x minus 25 over 2. From that, we get x1 is equal to 0. 25 over 2 plus 25 over 2 equal to x minus 25 over 2. Add 25 over 2 to both sides and we get 25. So what is our solution set? 0, 25. 0, 25. If you want to use the quadratic formula, here is the whole thing again. Substitute for a, substitute for c. C is equal to 0. So this whole thing is equal to 0. So we get 25 squared, which is 625. And what is square root of b squared minus 4ac? 25. Substitute 25 for square root of b squared minus 4ac, and you get negative a plus or minus 25 divided by 2a. Substitute for b, substitute for square root of b squared minus 4ac, substitute for a, and you get two solutions. And from that, you get x1 and x2. And you get the same solution. Well, that is a good one, right? Well, wish you the best, okay? Good luck.